Loggers. The threshold has been crossed. 100 of you now walk these liminal paths with me. But the deeper we go, the stranger it gets. And I need more loggers to help document the descent. Subscribe now and become part of the growing archive. When we reach 500, the next door opens. What waits beyond is something I can't face alone. Join the logs. Stay aware. Stay afraid. Let's dive into today's story. They called it the Violet Heart, a chamber built entirely of diamond and mirrored stone once hidden within the inner sanctum of a forgotten dynasty's palace. Not ornamental diamonds, not tiles or panes. I mean walls, floors, ceilings, solid, seamless crystal, faceted and impossible, reflecting light in patterns no engineer today could recreate, let alone explain. Light inside the room didn't behave the way it should. It split and multiplied. It moved. It was said to have been built for a queen, or maybe a consort, or a son. The records were inconsistent. But every version agreed on one thing. She never left the room. Not once. The Violet Heart was lost centuries ago. Buried during a violent collapse of the royal house. Some said war, others betrayal. There were legends of a curse, of mirrors cracking spontaneously throughout the palace the night she died, of diamond dust carried on the wind for days. Some said the queen was buried in the room, still seated on a mirrored throne. Others said she wasn't dead at all, just reflected so many times she couldn't find her way back to her body. Archaeologists dismissed the stories. They always do. Until 6 months ago, when a Turkish excavation team unearthed a sealed stone corridor beneath what used to be the central foundation of the palace. And at the end of it, behind a 9-ton slab of granite and a layer of mercury-laced plaster, they found it. The room was intact. It wasn't announced right away. The footage was locked down, but rumors slipped through a few shaky phone shots, some audio recordings no one could explain. Even the lead historian on the project, Dr. Isa Kamal, abruptly resigned and went off-grid. And then someone from the team leaked a high-res still image, a wide, empty space, blinding light coming from nowhere, infinite reflections. The back wall was paneled in soft violet diamond, warm and glowing. The center of the room housed what looked like a shallow bowl or throne carved from one solid piece of mirrored crystal. No visible entry point, no shadows. Just a room that should not exist. And at the very bottom corner of the image, almost missed a human figure standing perfectly still, reflected again and again into infinity. Except they didn't match anyone on the team. I was one of the researchers brought in after the discovery was made public, a cultural archivist with a specialty in pre-Islamic Central Asian monarchies. I had no intention of going to the site. I just wanted to analyze the texts, help translate whatever was found on the interior markings. But the files they sent were strange. Some of the characters on the wall weren't even in the known proto-languages. The sentence structure bent in impossible ways, looping in on itself. Worse, the more I studied the translations, the more I felt like they weren't meant to be read. At least not in a traditional sense. The script wasn't informational, it was reflective. It repeated things I hadn't written yet. It twisted words I hadn't spoken. And after a few nights of reviewing the files, I began to dream of light. Not bright, not painful, just perfect. Light that filled every corner of my mind. I started waking up with a voice in my head, soft and female, always saying the same thing. I'm not trapped. I'm looking. The original excavation team, gone. No one officially confirmed this, but all communication ceased. The dig site was shut down. Government involvement, military maybe. A month later, I received a locked USB drive in a plain envelope. No return address, no note, just a label on the drive. VH internal AV recovered room active. I shouldn't have watched it. The footage begins normal enough. A handheld cam, shaky and quiet. The team enters the room, careful, reverent. You can hear them marveling, gasping, whispering prayers. But then something happens. One by one they stop speaking. They stop moving. They begin to stare at their own reflections, not panicked, not confused, just completely still, as if remembering something, as if seeing something behind the glass that no one else can. And then the camera glitches, and suddenly the person holding it is alone. No sound, no voices, just breathing, their own, getting faster. Panicked, they start backing toward the exit, but the room doesn't let them. The footage mirrors itself, over and over, until it's impossible to tell what's real and what's reflection, until their figure splits first 2 versions of them, then 4, then more. Some reflections moving slightly out of sync, some smiling, some standing just a little too still. The video ends with a close-up. The camera tilts downward, and you see the camera person's own hands. They're reaching toward a surface-polished crystal, but the reflection doesn't match the hands. They're too thin, and they wave first. I don't know what compelled me to go. Maybe it was the dreams always drenched in violet light, always ending with the sound of shattering glass. Or maybe it was the reflection in my bathroom mirror 2 nights before the flight. I blinked, and my reflection didn't. It just stood there, still, head tilted like it was waiting for me to catch up. The dreams had returned in full, whispered phrases in a language I never studied, the scent of heated crystal in my sheets. Every waking moment now carried the weight of that place, pressing against the back of my skull. I had to see it for myself. I had to know. The excavation site had been sealed officially, but money and curiosity open a lot of doors in that part of the world, especially when you speak the right dialect, and offer to publish nothing. I was led by a local man who wouldn't give his name. He didn't ask questions, didn't speak once during the drive, just pointed toward a narrow fissure in the cliff wall, handed me a flashlight, and left. I walked alone. The air changed the moment I passed into the corridor. Dry, thin, humming faintly like electricity moving through bone. My boots clicked against ancient stone, and the deeper I went, the the more the temperature dropped. And then I reached it. The diamond room. The violet heart. It wasn't warm like I imagined. It was cold. Colder than a place like that should be, light scattered in every direction, making it impossible to tell distance, depth, or shape. The room was alive with shifting reflections, bending and blooming like a prism underwater, and at the center, the throne. I stepped in. The door behind me closed without sound, and the light changed. I don't remember falling. I don't remember sleep, only that I was standing one moment and seated the next. In the throne, breathing softly, staring into myself. No, not myself. That was the first thing I noticed. The figure across from me, the one mimicking my every blink, every twitch, was not quite me. Too symmetrical, too calm. A version of me without doubt. It smiled, and I understood something instantly, without being told. This room wasn't meant for royalty. It wasn't a sanctuary. It was a mirror that made decisions. It showed you yourself, not as you are, but as you could be. And if it didn't like what it saw, it waited until something better came along. My hands trembled. The reflections didn't. I reached up and touched my face. The reflection stayed still, staring. Only then did I notice the others. In the facets of the wall, in the folds of refracted geometry, there were dozens of figures. All versions of me, all standing, all motionless, some with smiles that didn't belong to me, some crying, some looking directly at me even when I turned away. The room wasn't reflecting me. It was collecting me. I screamed. The sound didn't echo. It was swallowed, flattened into silence. And one by one, the reflections turned their heads in perfect unison. Toward me, not toward the glass me. And I heard her voice again. Not loud, not whispered, just final. I'm not trapped. You are. I don't remember how I left, or if I did. I'm back now. At least I think I am. My passport worked. My hotel receipt showed my name. My notes are here, even though some of the pages are filled with symbols I don't remember writing. But mirrors have started behaving strangely around me. Elevator reflections show me mouthing things I haven't said. My own face lags behind when I move, and sometimes when the room is quiet enough I can hear footsteps. Not approaching, mirroring, exactly in sync. I keep all the lights off now. Not because I'm afraid of the dark, but because I'm afraid the reflections might move when I'm not looking. And one day, maybe soon, one of them might be just a little too real.